Are you ready?
Yes.
Hi everyone and welcome to Sit in It for a Bit with Arne and Carlos, and we are as always your hosts
Arne and Carlos.
And here we are back again with our weekly podcast Sit in It for a Bit, which has usually nothing to do with knitting. So if you are new and just came for the knitting, it's you who are supposed to...
Sometimes we talk about knitting.
Yeah, we're going to talk about knitting today, most definitely, because as you can see, Arne has finished his sweater. So we're going to be talking about that, but usually our podcast is more a recap of our life, and the idea is that you sit in it for a bit, in case you're new and you didn't know that. Anyway...
And it's not live.
No, it's definitely not live. So,
because we have a life. We
Yeah.
have a lot of things to do right now, and I think maybe by the time this is out, we are probably on the knitting cruise.
We'll be on the cruise.
So we're ahead of everything right now.
Yeah.
And see what happens, if we can continue being ahead of things or if we have to change everything.
And our two past podcasts, the two last weeks, were actually sitting it for a bit on the road. 2 weeks ago, the podcast was aired from Venice, or from actually Mazzorbo, one of the islands in the Venetian lagoon. After Mazzorbo, we went to Venice and stayed there for 4 or 5 days, I think it was. And then we did an inspection tour. Then we came back. Then we went to see my parents for Easter, which is when we filmed the On the Road podcast that you saw last week. And then we took a long break of filming. And today we are actually literally filming this and we're packing. So we're multitasking again. We're packing and then we're going on the road. And we will be on board a Hurtigruten ship for 12 days.
Yeah, and we cleaned this room now, and we've been cleaning everywhere because we're going to stay away. And the kitchen is now a greenhouse.
Exactly.
More or less.
Because it's also that time of the year when we start preparing our garden.
Yeah, so I think when we come back, it probably will be a jungle. Or maybe the plants are stretched and very long, but we have a friend coming. She will water them and keep an eye on them. So...
And Freya and Helmer are going to go stay with our friends in Oslo. They're going to stay with Framer's, or actually Helmer's previous owner. They're going to be there for 2 weeks and lots of walks in the park, and they'll probably meet lots of other cute dogs they can socialize with.
And they went cray because they understand that something is going on. So they've been
following us
crazy this morning because they understand that we're going away. And Freya has been spending a lot of time in the suitcase.
Yeah, which we had opened here,
So,
but anyway, the biggest news since we recorded last time, which was when we were on the road, is that we finished our folk costumes. They're done. Everything's done. And
after a lot of frustration.
After a lot of frustration. Then we cleaned the dining room because we still don't have our studio ready because of COVID. We were building before COVID and then we had to stop. Anyway, we've been located here in our dining room. And we cleaned our dining room, or cleared everything. And yesterday was the first time we had a meal in our dining room in 2022, I think. No, it wasn't yesterday. It was this morning for breakfast.
This morning? I think it was the first time this year.
Yeah, because the kitchen is all occupied by all the plants. So what do you have in the kitchen?
Oh, I have broomcord. What's that?
Broccoli?
No, not broomcord.
Cauliflower, sorry. Cauliflower.
Broccoli. And I have something like chops.
Pak choy?
Pak choy.
Okay.
And another one, chop choy? Or... I'm not sure. This is seeds we got in 2016.
Yeah.
And I had actually given up on the seeds.
But they're working.
They're working, and it's a eatable flower.
How about artichokes?
I have that also. Artichokes and...
and squash?
No, I have forgotten.
And broccolini?
I haven't found broccolini.
Radish?
No, yeah, I bought the seeds.
Carrots?
Those I do directly.
Okay, but if you bought the seeds, I'm not exaggerating. Our kitchen table right now looks like a complete jungle. You need to do this.
Yeah. But the problem is that
to get in there. What is there?
I thought I bought a lot of broccolini because we love broccolini, and I bought broccoli or cauliflower. And when I came home, I saw on the package that it was all cauliflower.
Okay, so
And this time I was thinking, no, maybe I shouldn't put all the seeds in the soil, but I did. So there's hundreds of plants.
So we're gonna have cauliflower coming out of our ears this summer.
Yes, and I started to prepare the kitchen garden.
But is it only cauliflower?
No, there's more.
And broccoli?
And artichokes and a lot of flowers.
Did you write it down? I mean...
No, I have written it on like...
Oh, okay, yeah, so you have written it. What's on the windowsill over there?
That is like carrots for decoration. You can't eat them.
Okay, yeah.
And it's California poppy.
Okay, because we have a new...
double poppy.
Yeah, because we have a new idea for the kitchen garden this year. We're gonna be mixing it up with flowers.
A lot of flowers between the vegetables, and there's a lot of vegetables we can buy in the...
Well, broccoli. No, cauliflower, sorry. There's a lot of cauliflower.
No, but we can buy broccolini and squash in the...
Oh yeah, like ready-made.
Ready-made, because...
planted, yeah.
With all the things we have sown, there will be so many plants everywhere.
And we'll have to do that as soon as we get back from the cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also have more that I haven't put in the soil yet. You know the white one that's so good?
Asparagus?
No. The one you use for, like, you can use it for soup and stuff. You made a lot of soup with it.
Jerusalem artichoke. Jordskok.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah. So there's the Norwegian word for the day. Jordskok is a Norwegian word for Jerusalem artichoke, which is like a potato but white.
The other one you like, pastinak.
Yeah.
I have seeds for that. And this time, before we tried it outside and nothing happened, but this time when we come back from the cruise, I will sow it inside, because maybe it works if I sow it inside. I don't know what happened when I sow them outside. They didn't come, but my grandmother, she had those up in the out farm, and that was up in the mountains. And every summer when I was younger, she had those in the garden. She had the small kitchen garden up in the mountain.
Okay. So that's great. So anyway, it's going to be a kitchen garden with flowers. So it's going to be decorative and utilitarian.
Yeah, because last year we just had like one cauliflower or kale or what you call it, like, and it was so empty and so sad. So this time we will put summer flowers like in between.
So it's going to be a happy kitchen garden.
I think it will be a more happy kitchen garden, and I think all the flowers will help the vegetables to grow.
Yeah, that's
and they will give them shade. Maybe they will attach more water, or keep it more
moist.
That's a nice word.
Yeah, it is.
Moist. That's like Miranda.
Yeah, that's exactly where that comes from. Anyway, and then we've been clearing the garden and the grass, the lawn. We have thrown the repairing. We do that. We've decided to do that every year. When the snow goes, we just do a lot of the repairing of the lawn by throwing some seeds that grow very fast.
And we throw the seeds from Charlie and
Camilla,
which they personally packed for us.
The seeds that Prince Charles and Camilla that they packed and sent here through their website, through their web shop, obviously. Those are also we've thrown those in the field of flowers. Hopefully there will be some flowers from that.
But we will never know, because I read the name of the flowers.
They're all Norwegian.
We have them in the garden from before. I was checking all the English names, and I googled it and found out that we have that one, and maybe there's two we don't have, but the rest we have in the garden. So you never know if they are blooming or growing.
So we keep our fingers crossed for a nice field of flowers. I mean, it is very typical, but it's something that is supposed to look very simple and very unplanned. You know, you want a field with a flower there, a poppy there, a this there, a that there, a little orchid. We've got wild orchids here in Norway. So you want it simple. You want it to look simple and lovely, but usually simple and lovely is not only the most difficult, but it's also the thing that will give you the hardest upkeep.
But there are plants you don't want to have in that field of flowers, and that is kind of, you have to remove a lot of stuff to make it look simple.
Yeah, so lots and lots of work for our field of flowers. One day we may actually give up and just do a flower bed. Yeah, I mean, slowly. It's been taking
And
some
I
years.
also know, like, those big leaves we have, it's like It looks like rhubarb, but it's not. It's dangerous if you eat it. It has spread outside the fence. I hope people are not coming and they're going to steal or think they're going to steal some
and eat it.
Rhubarb and eat it. You should put up a sign because this plant is spreading like crazy.
Yeah,
it's
it's
really
got
hard to
like
get.
really big leaves.
You can use them as an umbrella.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Sometimes when it rains in the summer, we'll
grab one.
Yeah, instead of going to look for an umbrella, we just grab one and walk around with that.
They're very decorative. But
they're beautiful, yeah.
People are. Sometimes people are tempted to do these things.
But anyway, the garden is lovely. Well, it will be lovely. We've been clearing. Summer furniture, most of it is out already, and we've had a few meals al fresco already. Because al fresco or al dente? No, al fresco. We've had a few meals al fresco because we had really beautiful weather for a couple of.
It's early this year.
10 days. Yeah, it was really early. We had about around 20 degrees Celsius, which is like 17 Fahrenheit. So it's lovely weather. Now it's gotten cold. May is something like that. In May, you get some warm days and then you get some not so warm days. So now we're down to around 10 degrees, which is like 50 Fahrenheit. So we went from 70 Fahrenheit, 20 degrees to 50 Fahrenheit, 10
we
degrees.
can't put things in the greenhouse yet because when we go away, it will die. So we have to have the plants indoors because it gets so warm in the greenhouse during the daytime, and then at night it's quite a big difference. It's quite cold at night.
Yeah, we're afraid of the frosts this time of the year at night, so that's why we don't put anything in the greenhouse yet. So it's all in the kitchen. We've got that jungle there to look at, but we're not going to be here. We're not going to be cooking anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
So the lady told me that she never put anything in the kitchen garden until the 10th of June up here. We do it before.
We do it before, yeah.
We put like something over it. So the folk costume, that was something.
That was something. Hatgate is over. As we explained last week, we've been sitting in our pajamas with wet hair, wearing our beautiful hats for our costume, and we've watched Bridgerton. But we finished watching it, so no more Bridgerton for us. So
we have to wait for next season.
Yeah, but luckily the hat fits now. Both hats.
So if your hat is too tight, wash your hair and put it on with wet hair.
So that's resolved. And then we had some very annoying issues with both folk costume jackets. Because they were actually more work than we had anticipated. Originally, we thought it would go very quickly, but they are custom made for our bodies. So obviously, there's a lot of fitting, and
they weren't that custom made because of all the fitting. We had to.
Well, yeah, they didn't come. They came as a cookie cutter pattern, and then we had to custom fit them. But and also only the assembly of the front panels with the back panels and the sleeves were done by sewing machine. The rest had to be done by hand, including the lining, the facing, and all of that. And
but the description said you should sew the pieces in the back together, and then you should add this little triangle to flare it out.
Which our friend Marilyn called it a doublet.
A doublet.
They go on each panel in the back. They are triangular like this.
But in the description, it never said where. It said just sew it on, so we assumed you sew it on from the edge down and up.
Up, yeah.
And then it didn't say anything in the pattern.
Because we did that.
The pattern to be sure that we did everything correct, and there was no drawing of the jacket, so we couldn't know where to put it. And then we went to Oslo.
Yeah.
To the arts and crafts shop.
And we saw the jacket there, and I saw that the doublets actually they started up at the waist. And they went from the waist out on both sides, and they create some flare on the back of the jacket. Obviously, when you see that, you're like, okay, yeah, of course, that's how it should look.
But I got so confused because if we known that, what then with the other point, the other on the list, it said now it's time to adjust the length, and it should be 30 centimeters from the waist. So we went to Lillehammer.
Yeah, we gave them a call and said, look here, there's some stuff in this pattern that is not written that could be very helpful, and now we have done a mistake and we need to fix it. So they're very kind though. They did they cut us some new doublets, and we went to pick them up, and they didn't charge us for it.
And those doublets were actually 30 centimeters from the waist when you took away the hem. So
all the lining that we had sewn with our own bare hands, with all that blood, sweat, and tears, and I don't know how many times I pricked my fingers.
Many times.
Many times. All of that had to be undone. We had to go in to the inside of the jacket. We needed to remove the old doublets, and then we needed to put the new ones in, which we did. And then we just hung the jackets in the closet and said, we're done. We're not quite done. I mean, not 100%.
We have some ironing.
There's a lot of steaming to do yet. But we'll do that on the day before we wear them, I guess. So, they're going into the closet now.
But I'm so glad we finished with this now, because it was hard.
It was getting really hard. And then we had a little fashion show for each other. We put on everything. It's...
but you want to do the checked one now, the one with squares.
Yeah, the tartan vest is the next thing on the list. But my idea is to take the sewing machine outdoors and do it in the summer when we are relaxed. So I don't want to do it right now.
I learned something the hard way, because actually I should have thought, or we both should have thought about this before, because we have made a lot of garments in our fashion time, in the fashion life. And when I think back on it now, we should actually have put all the pieces for the jacket on a cotton toile and cut it out and sewn it in the toile first, and then done the fitting.
Yeah.
And then when the fitting was done, we should put it back on the garments, on the fabric, the real fabric, and cut away what we didn't need.
Yeah.
So when we do the waistcoats,
we're going to do that.
We're going to do that. We're going to cut
muslin.
Every piece in muslin and sew it together and do the fitting on the muslin, and then go back
we're going
to
go
the
back
fabric.
to yeah. And the fabric and the tartan is the most complicated of the vests. It's got in my vest, because it had the large flowers. It had to be matched perfectly. And then traditionally the vest with little flowers, which was what Arne has, is not supposed to match at all. So that's mismatched on purpose. Mine is matched on purpose. But the tartan vest is very difficult because everything has to match. And their pockets,
everything has to match.
Their pockets and everything has to match. But
hopefully it's cut so
it is cut so that it matches. But we still have to get it right.
But you still have to be careful, because you can't miss a little bit, because then it will be
so that'll be summer work when we are more relaxed. But then we had a fashion show for each other. We got dressed and we took pictures of each other in the...
And you looked so good.
And so did you.
You look so good in a hat.
But I'm glad we don't wear that full costume every day, because it is a pain to put it on.
It's so warm.
No, I was thinking about that too. But it takes so long to put it on.
That takes forever.
The pants alone, they have so many buttons, and they have, because their breeches, they go down to the knee, and I mean there are so many things.
And if you're going to the bathroom, you have to plan it carefully, because it takes time.
Yeah, I think it took me like 10 minutes just to get the pants on, and then I had to adjust the stockings and the garter bands. That took I mean, by the time you've put on everything, it's 45 minutes.
No, but you're so picky. For me, it's easy.
I think it took quite a while for you as well. But you look great. It's worth the effort. You look wonderful.
You spend more time because you're more picky. You want the what you call fretted. I never remember that word.
Oh, the cables.
The cables to be exactly on the right place on the leg.
Yeah, I'm a Virgo. So
you're the Virgo. So
I'm the worst actually.
I don't care actually.
Anyway, we're excited about it. Full costumes are in the closet, and we look forward to the opportunity to bring them out and wear them. That would be fun. We've got a couple of things coming. We've got our National Day on the 17th of May, which is a very formal occasion in Norway. And anybody who has a folk costume will wear it. So that's a great occasion.
And we have
a baptism coming up in the fall. The latest member
of
our family. Yeah, sure.
Because this is so cool. You remember, I had this dream that my one of my
Our nephews?
my brothers, a nephew,
Our
nephew was going to have a kid again because he has one before, and I dreamt that night that he was having a girl. So the next morning I called him and I said,
I've had a dream.
I had a dream. Are you having kids again? And he said, no, we're not. Not that I know. Like things like that. And then, because I said, I had this dream. I dreamt that you got a girl. And then there was like, it went a few months. And then he calls me to tell me that they're actually having a baby.
But not only that, the day Arne called.
The day I called him, he was in the car. They just came back from the doctor.
And they had just found out.
They found out.
Yeah. And he's very, he's not a Virgo, but he's very meticulous with everything. So it's very typical of him not to announce anything until the 3 months. Yeah, exactly. But he freaked out. He said he freaked out because...
And I dreamt it was a girl, but now they did the test.
It's a boy.
It's a boy, and I had another dream, and I dreamt it was a girl. I have dreamt this 2 times now that they are getting a girl.
Well, maybe.
So we'll see. It's only in a few weeks.
Yeah. And then there'll be a baptism either this summer or early fall, when I hope to be able to wear the tartan vest. Yeah. I hope. That would be, fingers crossed.
Or at least for Christmas.
For Christmas, definitely I want to wear the tartan vest, I think. On the other hand, the tartan vest is wool. It's warmer than and we're going to be indoors for Christmas, so it may be better to wear the other one. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, it's nice to have choices. We've got 2 different vests or waistcoats to wear, and now we have the option of either wearing the jacket, which we should when we're outdoors, and then when we're indoors, we can take it off if it gets too warm. Hat, obviously, always on. Outdoors and indoors, we have to take it off because that's the rule.
That's the rule. No one wears a hat indoors.
Well, women can.
But
women can. Traditionally, women wear that.
Never.
Women can cover. Yeah, they can wear the hats indoors, but not men. So anyway, we've got loads of things to look forward to with our folk costumes. Thank goodness they are done. I will never ever do another one again. So that was my check off the bucket list. Make your own traditional folk costume by
been
hand.
There, done that.
Moving on. And speaking of moving on, Arne, you look gorgeous in your.
Thank you. I'm so happy with this. It took forever, but I like this is my new favorite.
Yeah. Do you want to model it? Yeah, but why don't you get up and do a little twirl?
But look, it's like. I did like oversized body and narrow sleeves, so you wear it like it gets kind of cool.
Why don't you go on your toes so that people can see what it looks like at the... Oh, okay. Yeah, anyway.
Okay. So
you look great.
I think it's so nice. I'm happy with the volume, and I will this week. I think we should take the measurements and write down what we did and send it to Rowan so they can do all the grading and write down the pattern.
It's one of those cozy sweaters that you will probably wear a lot around the house, I guess.
And this is knitted based on something that you had, so I just used that as to work with, and I have been written down what I did, but I think we should let Rowan make a proper pattern so you can have all the sizing. But I like it so much, and I started another one. Mm-hmm. This one is a little bit more narrow.
Yeah, it's nice. It's the Norwegian wool, the yarn that we have, and it's sturdier. This one is a little bit softer and a little bit thinner. Yeah, this is going to be really nice.
This will be more heavy because it's wool. This is very light, but my plan is to make one in every color.
Great idea.
With our yarn.
And this is to mark the center?
I mark every 10 round because I don't like to use the measure tape. Like sometimes it said knit so and so many centimeters.
Oh, okay.
I don't like that. I like to know the row.
Yeah, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So you've got 70 rows there.
So I mark every 10 rows. So when I do the back, I also use that as...
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's going to shape the.
That's a very useful tip. Not that we're doing tutorials on Wednesdays. We do our knitting tutorials on Sunday, but that's a great idea. Take a piece of yarn in a contrasting color and mark your rows. Every 10 rows, add it in like Arne has done.
And then
this way, you know how many rows there are.
And then
it's super easy.
When I finish, I write down how many stitches I cast on, how many rows, and I write down how many decreases and for the neck opening and all this stuff. So the pattern I do for myself is not much, because you don't need much when you know these things. Like you know how many rows, and it's all about stitches, how many stitches on rows.
Yeah, so we've had many comments about the sweater. A lot of people are waiting for a pattern of Arne's a charging sweater, as we've called it.
This is also a charging.
And this is going to be a charging sweater as well. However, we're not going to be charging. So anyway, last week when you saw our podcast, we were actually charging. We went on a long trip, which actually required this charging in the different charging stations as we travel. We're not going to be doing that often, because most of the time we charge our car at home. But it's good to have a project on the go when we are going on those.
Because sometimes we have to travel more. So
absolutely, yeah.
But the like the last days or weeks, last week maybe, we've been in Oslo one time, two times, and the car actually takes us from our house to Oslo. We can even drive a little bit around in the city
and then back
home, and we don't have to charge
until we get home. Yeah.
We actually, compared to what we used or what we spend on diesel on the old car, this is almost like for free.
Yeah, well, yeah. It is. Yeah, compared to, yeah.
And it's also like when we drove back from Oslo last time, we were in a queue, and I was thinking like, this is actually very strange, because we're not polluting. Like,
no, we're not.
It's very strange. You're like you're like in a computer sitting on a battery.
Yeah.
And it's very nice. And it's very quiet.
Yeah, I was reading a lot of the comments from last week. A lot of people are very curious about the electric car. A lot of people are very negative about it, but I think about having an electric car. But I think that depends on where you come from. If you live in a country where they still haven't developed the charging stations, for example, if there are not enough charging stations, it could be a big problem or hassle to have a car. So I'm sure that's why people are negative. Then you have the people who don't like change. Obviously, those people who are reluctant to change will be negative about that. But it is inevitable. It is the only thing that is constant here in life is change, and the fact that you're going to die one day.
And you can find good and bad things with everything. So you don't have to look for the good and bad things all the time.
But from our experience now, we're very happy with our car. For our daily use, we never will have to go to a station and charge it to spend 20 minutes charging it. That's absolutely not necessary. We've had the car for over a month now, and the only time we actually charged it was when we traveled. But then we traveled 1,200 kilometers, which is like 800 miles or something. So obviously, when you're traveling that far, and the range of the cars is still not that high, you have to charge. But for our everyday life, we don't need to think about those charging stations. We go about our business, go buy our groceries, travel to Lillehammer, Gjøvik to have meetings, and then we go to Oslo to have meetings. The trip to Oslo is 340 kilometers return. I don't know how many miles, but it takes 5 hours. So it's 2.5 hours to drive to Oslo, 2.5 hours back, and we still have 100 kilometers left on our battery. So it means that we could probably drive the car non-stop for around 6 hours. And then we're discovering a lot of things, like when you drive it in a highway at a higher speed, it will use more battery than when you drive it from here to Oslo, where we don't have a highway. So it's a lot of those winding roads. That's why it takes so long. And you use less battery, especially when you've got the downs, right? You go down and up and down. So all in all, we're very happy. Today is actually the day. Today is actually May 1st, and I just went before we started the podcast. I went to check our electricity consumption for April 2022, and then I compared it with April 2021 and April 2020. And the reason why I did this was because we've charged our car every time at home, except for our long trip. And I just wanted to see if we've consumed more electricity in April this year since we've had the car. And the answer is yes, a little bit more, but it's only about 100 kilowatt hours. Mm-hmm. So it's nothing. It's $20. It's $20 worth of more electricity this year compared to last year, based on the prices of electricity right now. So it's not much. It's so little that it doesn't even make a dent in our bill that we're noticing. So,
but when you drive the car like in cities, you have to be very careful because it comes very quiet, and people if they go with their phone, that people are always looking on their phone, and they just walk straight into the street. So you have to be careful because people don't look at you. You have to look for. But that's the same if you drove a normal car.
Yeah.
Because it's like
people shouldn't be walking and texting.
But you have to look out for people anyway. Yeah. So it's more the driver's responsibility than the people who walk. I think it was something like if you or someone was afraid you should drive or drive over blind people. But if there's a blind person coming, you will see there's a dog or a white stick, and you as a driver should be careful. It's not the blind person's responsibility
to drive,
to be hit by a car. So
there's a lot of those.
There's a lot of strange things,
and also I think that the biggest risk that we will have with this car is getting used to the speed. Because it goes from 0 to 80 kilometers in just a matter of seconds, and you don't hear the engine because there's no engine.
It's so easy to go too fast.
So speeding tickets is something we're very nervous about whether we'll get any. Both Arne and I have had adapting. We've had some problems adapting to the whole concept of the electric car, and driving it fast is something that is very easy to do. And I don't know how many times Arne has told me to slow down, and I've told Arne the same. So our friend said that when she got her first electric car, she kept getting speeding tickets all the time. We haven't gotten any yet, and I don't like breaking the law. No, I don't like speeding. So I hope that we... and I don't like paying tickets either. I hate that.
No.
So let's hope we don't get any speeding tickets. But I think it's going great. We're loving every second of the car. We had some questions about the cost for charging. And keep in mind, the cost for charging is different in every country. So I don't know if our cost for charging it at the stations will give you any relevant information. But I checked. And the time when we charged the car from 0 to 80%, so actually pretty much the whole battery up to 80%, it cost us around $8 to do that, which is actually not much. So if you need to charge, and then we charged a couple more times for about $6 each time. So the 600 kilometers we drove, the 400 miles, would have cost us about $20 to charge. If we bought a diesel, like we had a diesel car before, we would probably have to spend at least one tank. And one tank right now is around $120. So there's a big difference in cost,
now with,
obviously.
The Beetle season has started, and we've been out with the old Beetle, and we filled the gasoline, and that would double the price of what
gasoline is very expensive now.
I think our trips with the Beetle this summer will be
more expensive.
That will be luxury.
But then we'll offset that with the electric car, which won't cost us that much. So very happy. What else people were asking? They were asking a lot of things. A lot of people were saying, "Oh my God, spending 20 minutes charging the car." But you know what? 20 minutes is not a long time. And when you're driving very far, like we drove 1,200 kilometers. It's very important to stop and take a break and rest.
I think it was actually more comfortable because normally when we go to Sweden, when we went in the old car, we hardly never stopped. We stopped if we were hungry or we had to go to the bathroom. But this time we actually had to make some breaks. And we did a lot of knitting.
And it takes it makes you a better driver if you're driving for hours and hours. I mean, it takes us 8 hours to get to my parents. 8 hours of driving nonstop. if I drive 4 hours and Arne drives 4 hours, that's insane. It's better to do a little shorter, and then you stay awake, and then when you charge the car, we can pull our seats all the way back. We can have a rest. We can relax.
And with the dogs, we also can walk the dogs while the car is charging. And there's another cool thing, because this car charges very quick. So when we drive into the charter, there's always cars parked there, and if it's not this kind of a car or another, there's one more which is quick. We always leave before the other cars are finished.
Yeah.
So I think it's good.
Yeah, and some people were asking, why do we only charge up to 80%? Well, we do that as a courtesy to other people, because we feel that if there's a line, if there's people waiting, why should you charge 100% when you can do 80? And that will take you very far. 80% will take you for hours and hours anyway.
And up to 80 goes quicker.
Yeah.
Also, if it's over from 80 to 100, it's slower.
Yeah. So 0 to 80 takes 20 minutes. And then 80 to 100 also takes 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So they've done this on purpose so that people won't monopolize the charging stations and get less queue. Let's see, there were a couple of other questions. Let's see if I can remember. Oh, yeah. People were mentioning we should get an app, but we don't need that, because the car has a computer screen, and it will tell you where all the charging stations are. So all we need to do is press a button. However, what the computer won't tell us...
touch the screen, and then it says you get all the charging places.
Yeah. However, what the screen won't tell us is if they are out of order. And that's the issue we had on our first trip, that we drove to the next charging station and it was out of order. We couldn't charge. And then when we looked at the computer, we realized that we couldn't continue. We had to go back because the station that was behind us was the closest. So we already knew that. Yeah. So the computer tells us everything. And for next long trip that we do, I don't know when we will, probably the fall maybe. But for the next one we'll probably plan better. All you need to do is sit down and plan your stops with a little bit of anticipation, and have a backup plan in case a station is out of order, like in this case. And don't forget the cable, because sometimes you need to bring your own.
Bring your own
and cable. Remember, Arne, I have a list of things, and once we finish this podcast, we're going to get in the car. Remember, we need to...
I have news for you, because I have already done it.
Cable's in the car.
The cable is in the car, because I'm not leaving the house without the cable.
Yeah, so
that was very stressful.
Yeah, so today we are going to go to Oslo. We're going to spend the night there. We're going to go out with friends and have a lovely dinner. And then tomorrow morning we are going to drive to the airport. Mm-hmm. And at the airport we have a valet parking. We will give the keys to the valet, and we will get on a plane to Bergen. And then we are going to do something with, we're working with the organization for ADD here in Norway. We've done some designs for them, and we're going to go to Hillesvåg, the yarn factory we've been collaborating with on this project, to do a whole thing for their newspaper. They have their own magazine, the ADD organization. And we're going to take photos, and actually we're going to probably meet our group there, because our group is already here.
I think they are...
They're on the train going to Bergen today.
They're going to, and I think they are probably... They are in Hillesvåg, or they just left when we are arriving. So that would be nice.
Yeah, we'll probably say hi there, and then we'll do our stuff. And then we'll get on the boat, and then we'll do the 12 days. And then we'll fly back to Oslo. And when we get our car, the car will be fully charged, because it's part of the service. They give us, we give them the key. They park our car for us, and then before they deliver it, they charge it. And Oh, and a couple of other things that people were commenting about the cost of an electric car. In some countries, apparently, it's more expensive. In Norway, it's cheaper to have an electric car. Our government is giving a lot of incentives. So even though we do pay some tax on the electric car, to buy one, we don't have to pay any VAT, any value-added tax, which means that an electric car is 25% cheaper than a regular car.
And we didn't buy this car.
No, we're leasing it.
We're leasing it because we know that we can lease it now for 3 years, and we know that in 3 years' time, the range...
Will be better cars,
It will be... You can drive longer, hopefully. So why should you buy a car when this is still... What'd you say? Utvikling?
Under development,
develop.
So in 3 years we won't have to think about charging. We'll probably charge when we get to a destination.
So maybe we buy buy one in 3 years, or
anyway,
another one.
they're 25% cheaper to buy than a regular car. Then all the road tolls in Norway. If you have an electric car, you either don't pay any tolls for the roads, or it's 50% discount. So it's cheaper, much cheaper.
Change.
Probably, but it's still going to be cheaper than for a regular car. The yearly taxes on the car, it's called the road tax, is lower on an electric car. And one of the best things is that all the lanes that are reserved for taxis and buses, if you have an electric car, and in rush hour if you're 2, which we always are, you can drive on them. So the government here is really giving a lot of incentive for people to get one. So no wonder this is the country with the most electric cars in the world. And here we have a very good network of chargers all over Norway. So it's actually easy to get your car charged, unlike other countries. So we're very happy. And our group arrived on Thursday. No, sorry, hang on. Thursday, Friday? So they arrived on the 29th. Yeah, Friday.
That's Friday.
Yeah, our group arrived in Oslo on the 29th. And then on the 30th, so that was yesterday, they had a tour of Oslo. Today they're getting on the train with Gita, our tour leader, and they're going to Bergen. We've had to work, so we can't meet them until we go on board. Tomorrow, we'll say hello probably while they are touring the yarn factory. And then at 4:30...
Or they're not touring, they go crazy.
They go cray-cray in the yarn factory outlet, obviously, because yarn is cheaper in Norway, but in the outlet it's probably even cheaper. And then we meet them again at 5:30 on board. And then
for the welcome drinks. And they get their mystery knit thing. So they all get the bag. It's this bag. But this is not.
No, this is the old bag.
No, this is the old bag. So they get in. This is also.
This is the old bag.
This is the old bag. This is from another cruise, and I customized my bag.
Yeah.
And they get a bag with some secret stuff. Yeah. And we have brought all our. We're bringing a lot of knitting.
Yeah. So these are all our projects. We've obviously got the project that we've designed for this cruise. That we also will be knitting on together with everybody else. So that's going to be fun. It's a project that we hope takes 12 days to complete. We have tried to think about it and calculate it, and I
think it takes 4 days.
I hope, but no, because it takes 4 days if you are antisocial, sitting in front of the TV, or just being alone all day. Remember, we're going to be we're going to be enjoying beautiful landscapes. Yeah. We're going to be seeing the best of what Norway has to offer.
Talk a lot.
We're going to be socializing. There may be wine involved. You know, it's going to be a wonderful social experience. And then the whole point is to slow down and enjoy your knitting. So I think if you say 4 days to complete in front of the TV, then I think 12 days will be a good estimate.
But we bring other stuff because we're going to knit on the same project, but we have to change a little bit. Because
we have to change it up. So we've got our Arne and Carlos sock yarn. There's 3 here. 1, 2, and...
You think you will finish all
3.
Those?
I'm very ambitious. Very ambitious.
You can't knit and talk, you know.
No, I know.
I found that one. I put it in your bag.
And we've got a little bit of extra needles.
Oh, yeah, I have more. I have these needles. You can put them in.
Oh, perfect.
That's a very nice gift. We got this in Japan.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
From a knitter. So it's so cool having this.
Yeah. And then
I'm bringing my metal needles because I'm working on the socks. This is not the sock from Gudbrandsdalen, where the folk costumes are from. This is from Setesdal, where my grandmother came from.
Yeah, and we did a series about that last year.
So I'm trying this pattern, and I started one, but that was with the leftover yarn from the socks from Gudbrandsdalen, or the stockings. So I had to buy new yarn. So now I'm started over again, and this time I work on a circular.
We're packed and ready to go.
Before I used 5 needles, but it's so easy they slip off every time. So now I use a circle, but I had to take breaks because this is so small and they're quite small in my hand, so I get tired. So I have to knit on the project, knit on this one.
And I think this is going to be your knitting before you go to sleep. So this is the knitting that you'll do while we are alone in the cabin and nobody's distracting you.
You never know. I might bring all of them.
If you get distracted, you might make a little mistake.
That's so easy.
And we've got here, Arne is very ambitious. So these are knee-high stockings with a very complex pattern. I don't know if I can...
It's really hard to see.
Yeah, it's very hard to see. But it's a very complex pattern.
On the can you see? No, it's impossible.
And he's already gotten the yarn for the heel. So he actually thinks in 12 days he'll get this far. We'll let you know when we get back from our cruise how that went.
Yeah, maybe I can wear them when we come back.
Yeah. And what else do we have for projects on the go?
And we have...
what's in your bag?
What's in this bag? This is the mystery.
Oh, okay. The secret. So we can't show you that. Sorry.
So this is for the... But I brought the embroidery.
Mm-hmm.
And I have changed things. Because I brought this to Italy. I think we showed it in...
We did. We showed it even in the car, Arne.
And we showed it in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't done a lot, but I've managed to find the right color in the local yarn shop.
Mm-hmm.
So it's coming up like this. So these are like the big horses that I make because I'm going to make the shirt bigger.
Yeah.
But now I have changed things because
Changed it up.
I learned something when we went to Sätesdal. Because I took out what we worked on in Sätesdal, and in Sätesdal when they do the embroidery, they make also embroideries in the small holes.
So anyway, here it is.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
But you see, normally when I do the waist canvas, I make the embroidery in the big hole, like in the biggest holes, but. In Sätesdal, when they do their embroidery, they also work in the small cross, like in between the big holes. So now I started to do that, and the result is actually a more even stitch.
Yeah, they look so beautifully even, you know.
Yeah, but these are more even than this.
Yeah,
this
I can
is
see
made
that.
in the big hole, and this is the big hole, and these are the small. And maybe I'm going to take out.
It's beautiful. I love your shirt. I might borrow that one.
But I made already. I have seven horses that I might take out and make them.
Oh, come on! You really shouldn't do that.
Am I too picky if I do that?
Yeah. Well.
Talking to you.
Yeah. Who's talking now? Yeah.
But see, I think this shirt is too good to not use, and it has shrinked in the closet.
It shrunk.
It shrunk in the closet, so I have to add fabric. And when I do this, I make a new shirt.
Well, it's good.
So
you look great. You're gonna look so great.
So I'm going to work on this also on the boat, but I think I have to change a little bit because I get so fed up. Like if I do the same thing for a long time, it's kind of boring. So if I knit on the secret project, maybe I make a horse. Maybe I go back to the secret project. Maybe I do a sweater and a little bit on the socks. Because I need variations.
Yeah. So it's incredible how time flies. This week's podcast has to be a little bit shorter because we have to finish packing. We still have lots and lots to pack, but be sure to know that there's yarn in our suitcases and lots of other fun stuff. We've actually prioritized that, and we're actually bringing. We don't have that many clothes with us this time. We're only bringing clothes to keep us going for 7 days, and then luckily on board the ship there is a free laundry where we can wash ourselves, borrow the washing machines and wash our clothes. So we will have to be doing that after 7 days of changing our clothes every day. We have to wash, so probably after 5 days we'll do the washing.
Maybe we don't. Maybe you can use something like shirts.
I don't want to wear my underwear twice.
Not underwear, but shirts.
Anyway, so we're doing that. Too much information, sorry.
Okay.
We're gonna finish our packing. We're gonna load everything in the car. We're gonna have lunch. And then we need to get Freya and Helmer in the car as well, and then off we go. And we can't wait to meet our crew of new
it's
new
so
friends.
exciting. It's like 2 years.
The first tour that we're doing, the first cruise in 2 years. And if you're new to the concept of our knitting cruise, don't be alarmed. We are not going on a huge cruise line because we don't do that. We don't like the big cruise ships that destroy the environment. This is a very small ship, and it's the lifeline of Norway. These ships connect the south of Norway to the north, and without them, the north wouldn't survive. So not only are they a necessity in our part of the world, but if you look at the massive cruise ships and compare it to this ship, it's a tiny little ant that only takes about 400 passengers in total. So it's tiny, tiny, tiny. So
and I'm also bringing my. Finally, I got the book. The Dolly Parton and James Patterson Run Rose Run.
Took a while, we wanted to get it from our local bookseller, not on the online, but we wanted to support him. So he had to order it, and then we've been busy, so we couldn't pick it up until a couple of days ago.
We also wanted to have the hard covers because I don't like paperback.
No.
I have ordered a paperback book for the garden tour to Italy, but normally I look for the hardcover because if a book is good, I can read it over and over and over.
And it's not very often you read an English book. You usually read Norwegian language.
But on the cruise, we will talk a lot of English. So maybe it's good for me to read.
And it's good because you get your language better. Okay, Arne, we do have to go. But one final thing that we totally forgot that I just wanted to showcase. And it is a new project that we are working on, a pattern. And we hope to post it very soon. It's a granny square it's a star in a granny square. So there you see. This is really lovely. We're going to be working on this as well on the ship. And
our
hopefully,
ladies in America is now crocheting it and checking that.
Well, I just sent it to them, so
so we'll see if they find some. If there's a problem, hopefully they find it.
So hopefully there will be a pattern for this,
and this one.
soon, and that one.
The cozy sweater.
So Arne, how about some formalities?
Okay, if you like our videos, put your thumbs up, and if you're a subscriber, put on the notifications, because then you won't miss the episode, and put yourself on the mailing list, because then you don't miss a thing.
That's where all the action happens. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon. Bye!
Bye!